Yo, what is up guys? I'm bringing you a brand new video and welcome to my 2024 PvE gear progression guide. In this video, I'm going to take you through how I progress as a seasonal character all the way up to a build that allows you to grind every single place in the game. This is more of a PvE focused build, but it does have building blocks for PvP, but I would focus on this build now because you do need to grind in order to make money, and here is what I would do. So starting out, we have a full season fresh account that has full Tuvala gear all the way at pen. You have none of your journals done, but you are level 60 plus for the extra 1 AP, 1 DP for leveling. And the best grind spots for this place is just going to be infinite HP and MP potion spots, and then Proddy Cave if you're not feeling it. But Blood Wolves is honestly really good even after you get the HP pot. It just seems to have like really good money in general. Then once you have virtually graduated the season. Hopefully at this point you have your HP pot, and you should prioritize completing your adventure journals that award AP. You don't have to wait until you graduate season to do adventure journals, but hopefully after you graduate you've completed all of them. You should also find a guild that does con. You can merc into a guild that does this. A lot of people appreciate the extra help, or find your guild that can do it as well and has regular days for it, because 3 weeks of con gets you a free alchemy stone, which is going to give you 2 extra AP. At this point, you should also have completed the Magnus questline, gotten pen bags, and any Kaffir stones you do get, you should load into those bags. Never sell something you need to buy back in the future, so I would not recommend selling any Kaffirs that you do get. Additionally, for graduation, you now have a Pen Capotia necklace and belt and a Tet Black Star, and you should also purchase some cheap Lightstones. 4 Rages gives you 17 AP, which is good for both PvP and for PvE starting out. And then use Jatina to reform your Tuvala boots and helmet, and that will give you your Griffin and Urgon shoes, which has a little bit more DR than the Tuvala. The best grind locations to go with this gear would be Kratuga, and continue to grind the infinite HP and MP pots. The MP pot's a little less of a focus, but it's still decent money, and it's really a nice to have item. Moving on to the next steps, you should continue to put any Kaffirs you get into your gloves, as well as purchase a cheap crystal setup at this point. I have a cheap crystal setup in the description as an example. And then you should also turn your Black Star into a Godder and go Duo. From the season, you should have enough 100 and something stacks in order to go Duo pretty much for free. So it's not going to cost you that much money. And you should also reform your Kudum to reform level 2. Which is going to give you an additional 1 AP to hit 285, and then complete any remaining journals that give DP, and then prioritize going for 2 Jatina Pen Crescents. We can now have a second one, which is really, really nice because it gets you 285 AP for a very, very low cost. The best grind zones with this gear, Lower Sakraya, and then Kratuga whenever you do have some Agris. You can also start thinking about grinding places like the Mountain of Eternal Winter at Jade Starlight to think about the future of when you might go for a Labreska helmet and want to get that flame is another great place to burn your Agris. So from here, you should prioritize getting Duo Dawn's gloves. You can buy flames for the Dawns really, really easily, or you could do the Boss Blitz if you so please, as well as complete the guaranteed Jatina Pen Griffin helmet, and then go for C10, and then eventually Duo for the Labreska. At this point, you now have enough DP to facilitate getting a little bit of a DP loss by buying 2 Tet Distos, and then complete/buy your 4 cups for your rings and earrings. You're able to now grind in Serendia Elvia very, very easily, so if you want to make your own cups, you can totally do that, but otherwise I would just buy them. And then the best grind spots once you have this particular gear would be Elvia Giants. Lower Sakraya is still great, and then of course you're grinding for cups at those spots. Once you have moved on from that, you can now purchase a Duo Godder Awakening. Now, something to mention about this slide is, if you're an Awakening player, then you probably should have reversed the weapons in this video. So you probably should have a Duo Godder Awakening rather than the main hand. And, you know, if you're a Succession, then follow this guide verbatim. But basically, you want to buy the Duo Godder in the weapon slot that you are not primary on. And then you want to buy a Pen Black Star in the slot that you are primarily doing damage with. So whether that's Awakening or Succession, that's based on what class you're playing and the spec you're playing. Now, I do recommend buying the Pen Black Star, because right now Pen Black Stars are incredibly cheap compared to the cost to make them. But if you do want your name on it, you can pay the brand name tax of having your name on it by making it yourself if you would so please, but it is better to buy right now. Also, purchase or do the Jatina Guaranteed for Pen Red Nose, and then you can C10 and then Duo Fallen God as well. You could grind some Turos for the Flame, or just put an order and buy the Flame. But basically, the Jatina for the Guaranteed Pen the Jatina or the Guaranteed Pen Red Nose, like, whether or not you buy or not, it's not a huge deal. It's going to cost very similar amounts, so whether or not the hassle's worth it is up to you. And then purchase some Pen Aragon shoes and go for C10 on them. And then you should also consider investing in some better crystals and lightstones at this point. I think that it depends a lot on your class, what crystals and lightstones you do go for, but you really can't go wrong with something like Watch Your Back. It's rather cheap, and it does give you a lot of really, really good AP and some back attack damage. The best grind locations with this gear is going to be places like Elvia Giants, Lower Gyfin, and Ash Forest, because once you have this gear, you really should think about going for a Tet Deboreka necklace, which brings us to our next slide. Getting a Tet Debo is going to help you build up to 305 AP. Once you have 305, you're going to be able to grind Embers to get Duo Ator shoes, and then you can also grind Crypt now that you're 305 with all Duo armors, and that'll allow you to go for a Tet Debo belt, which puts you up to 310 AP. Once you're 310, you can go grind Dekia Olins or Aukman and get yourself a Tet Debo earring. You've now completed the set effect for Debos, which is a 12 AP bump, but you are going to go down to 308 AP, which is why you should reform your Kudum to level 4 to get back that 309 bracket. The best grind locations once you have this gear is legitimately anywhere you want. You're 309, you're 398, you're almost at that 401 bracket. You could just get one try armor and boom, you're at 309, 401. And you can grind all the Debo spots for money and getting your Debos, or you could grind Dekia Turos, Thornwood, Cyclops, or Tungad Ruins. It kind of depends on your class and whether you feel you have big AoEs, you might go to Thornwood. If you got smaller AoEs, you might consider doing stuff like Cyclops or Tungrad. So that is up to you on where you want to grind, because the BDO is your oyster at this point. You've got the gear to go anywhere. And really, from here, the next steps are going into a more endgame build. Like, once you've got that 309, 401, all the gains are pretty marginal. You can grind everywhere in the game, and the order that you progress is not that important. If you feel like you want to go for some lower hanging fruit, then you might consider trying all your armors, get all your armors to try. Then maybe you go for Debo Earring and go for Tungrad Ring if you're Succession, because once you get a Pen Blackstar offhand, that allows you to get 316. Or maybe you're an Awakening player, and you might consider going for just the Pen Crescent is fine with you, and you get Pen Debo Earring, or Pen Disto Earring, and then a Pen Blackstar offhand to be 317 AP. You can kind of customize and decide where you want to land on your bracket, but this is what an endgame PvE build kind of looks like. And once you're here, it's really just Pen Debos. That's all there is to really go. I don't prioritize Tet armors really, because that extra 12 DP that you're going to get is not going to help you grind anywhere new, and it's really more of an endgame thing that you would consider perhaps even after Pen Debo necklace and belt. So that is my recommendation. The places to grind is totally up to you. Once again, BDO is your oyster. You can get Kabua's artifacts. You get a Vel just for the extra attack speed. That con served you well at this point, and you're basically done. You can now start working on PvP gear if that's your goal, or you can continue to grind for the Pen Debos. But that is basically it. I hope that this was a very useful guide for you guys. Hopefully it gives you an idea of where to take your gear next. I appreciate you guys all very much for watching. If you did enjoy or find it useful, make sure to drop a sub, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace.